Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
We got some Sam Darnold speculation for you guys
Reckless speculation
here today. It is definitely speculation season from now until the draft. And Jeremy Fowler from ESPN.com, former Vikings beat writer, friend of the old radio show, and he put out an article entitled NFL Executive Predictions, Quarterback Moves Coming For, and then he lists a couple of teams, and there's a Sam Darnold section. So we'll get to what NFL front office people are saying about Sam Darnold here in a little bit, but Underdog, it's a good week to be on Underdog, I'm guessing, Dex.
Yeah, just even in my lobby right now, you got a 50% profit boost you can use, so a little extra juice there for your pick 'em if you want to make. You can even just draft a fantasy football team from the 4 remaining teams. Plenty of great stuff for current users Underdog. And, of course, our new users, if you still want to sign up, promo code SCORE for a 50% deposit match. So you put a little extra juice in there, too. Underdog, promo code SCORE for 50% profit match. And those current users, keep sending me those screenshots. Love seeing all those wins at Underdog.
Also, a quick shout-out to Black Stag Brewing. So, man, we actually, if the Vikings had won their playoff game, we were, I don't know if it was like 100%, but we were talking to Black Stag. We were going to do a Purple Daily Unplugged and hang out in that awesome tap room with a 190-inch big screen and food trucks and pop-ups every day. Just an awesome, awesome spot. And also expanded distribution. You can find their beer all over the state of Minnesota, but also now into Wisconsin, Nebraska, and South Dakota. The Pull Tabs Pale Ale, the Slopes French Pilsner, Uncut Jams. Also during Viking season, available inside US Bank Stadium. Go to blackstagbrewing.com, the where to buy page, to see where you can find your favorite Black Stag beer. And like I said, if you have not been to that tap room, it's awesome. Great place, super spacious, couches, chairs, all sorts of things going on at Black Stag. So bring a group, bring family, bring friends. Okay, gentlemen.
Reckless speculation.
Gentlemen. So this is from ESPN.com. Jeremy Fowler thinks, based on his conversations with NFL executives and front office people and scouts, that there is one destination that makes the most sense for Sam Darnold. And here's what he writes. All it takes is one suitor to drive Sam Darnold's market to the point where it's cost prohibitive for the Vikings to retain him. And the numbers favor Darnold. At least 5 teams selecting in the top 10 of the NFL draft need a quarterback during a year where the supply doesn't meet the demand. And Darnold is the clear-cut number 1 quarterback in free agency. Enter the Las Vegas Raiders, which endured arguably the league's worst quarterback situation in 2024. Said one high-ranking personnel man of an NFL team. A personnel man.
That's what I
Quote,
want to do when I grow up.
What do you do for a living, Dex? I'm a personnel man. Football personnel man.
Don't ask my name,
Wait.
though.
Yes.
Wait, Dex, did you say personal or personnel? Which one did you mean to spell? I'm a personnel man.
So this high-ranking personnel man said, at pick 6, the Raiders are out of range for a quarterback unless they move up, which wouldn't be smart based on the amount of holes they have on their roster. They need every pick. They have flexibility within the cap to get it done. Sign Darnold, keep your picks, go get an impact player at 6 or trade back or whatever. Las Vegas is slated to have nearly $100 million in cap space next year, more than enough to pay a veteran passer and have a bunch left over. Most executives polled believe Darnold belongs in the Geno Smith, Baker Mayfield class of contracts, somewhere in the range of 3 years and $100 million. So what do you think of that? And it was like, he made it clear that like this is based on conversations with a bunch of people, but he had that one quote from that one personnel man.
I think it's the most logical landing spot. Do I think it's the best? Maybe not. Who's their coach? Again, I think we can now clearly see that KO and the Vikings coaching staff did a really good job of holding Sam's hand. And Sam played really well for the most part of, 16 games. But the reality is, like, if they go with a defensive coach, are they going to have an OC that can help Sam? Like, there is a certain level, I think, of propping up Sam needs. But I was going through the list when I saw this as a talker, Phil, of the teams that need quarterbacks. And I got to be honest, outside of the Raiders, there are teams that need them. I don't know there's a lot of, like, great landing spots at which he would get, in which he would sign and be the clear-cut top guy. The Jets, right? He ain't going back there, so they're just off the table. He's not going to the Jets. The Browns, you could say, makes sense, but they've got to pay off Deshaun. And the Kirk Cousins scenario, if Kirk forces, which I think he's going to, his exit from the Falcons, the Falcons are on the hook for basically a ton of cash. The contract, I'm sure, has offset language. So much like Russell Wilson did in the transition from Denver to Pittsburgh, Kirk could go re-team up with Kevin Stefanski for cheap in Cleveland. It makes a ton of sense.
Yeah.
The Giants probably draft one. And I don't think you would tempt fate. I'm sorry. I don't think Sam Darnold going anywhere near New Jersey is a good idea. The body is basically buried there. Like it was a Sopranos quarterback hit job. I don't think he's going back. The Colts is an interesting one, but that's assuming that they are going to be out on Richardson, which I don't know. The Titans were one, but they've got the top pick, so they probably take like Cam Ward. And then if you want to say the Saints, but the Saints still have Derek Carr possibly. So
major cap problems too, by the way, for the Saints.
So yeah, good point. So I think the Raiders is logical, but I also don't know, in going through the list for the first time pretty closely, that there's a ton of options.
Let's dive a little deeper, because there's kind of two parts to this discussion. There's where will Darnold land, which a lot of Vikings fans don't really care that much about. They care more about part two, which is there a way to facilitate him going somewhere and the Vikings getting a draft pick back or some sort of draft capital back?
Absolutely.
And I really think, like, if you're the Colts, there's two teams that make sense where the Vikings could pit them against each other. They could franchise Darnold and say, hey, listen, like, it's you and this other team. Right. I think it's the Steelers and the Raiders, and we can come back to those teams in a second. The Colts make some sense if they're done with Richardson, but are they going to give up? Like, if the Vikings franchise Darnold and you're the Colts and you gave up, you used your fourth pick on, they're not going to trade a pick for him, right?
No.
If he's available and you could get him, for a year or two, I mean, you'd be moving on from Anthony Richardson, though. If you're the Colts, don't you want, like, wouldn't they be better off bringing in Daniel Jones for like a year and $15 million and having him come in so that you're not completely cutting bait on Anthony Richardson? Because there's still like talent there. I don't know that they're ready to move on. The Colts have some really good offensive weapons too, by the way. 3 receivers who are like under the age of 27, deep threat. Jonathan Taylor is still pretty young. We think Jonathan Taylor feels like he's been around forever. He's only like 25 or 26. So the Colts are in a spot where if you had an actual competent quarterback, you're already winning like 8-9 games. Could you be a 10-11 win team in a division that's kind of up for grabs in some ways? But I don't know that's going to be the best partner for the Vikings. The Niners feel like they're going to just give a bag to Brock Purdy, which we can say is a mistake, but if they want to do that, that's their own prerogative. And
they're not going to trade for Sam.
No, I mean, if he's available in free agency.
I think you're right. Steelers.
The Giants are in position to maybe get a quarter. But the thing is, like, the Giants have to make a decision on Darnold before they would know what their draft fate is. So you'd be saying, we're going to get Darnold and then just have no chance to get Shedeur Sanders, even though we're picking third right now.
Yeah.
So it kind of is the Steelers and the Raiders.
Do the Rams enter the mix if Stafford retires?
Possibly.
Good question after what they did to Darnold in the playoff game, though. Like, that's a very good question.
Yes, but the body of work and the options available, because let's say Stafford retires, what is your other option and avenue to get a quarterback? You're not drafting one of the top quarterbacks.
Right. But if I trade for him, I'm taking on the franchise tag and then trying to do a long-term extension based off a starting point of $40 million. Do I want to start there? Like if I'm the Rams,
Will you be committing to him for like this? This is our guy to win Super Bowls
right?
the next
I
2
just
or
take
3
my
years.
yeah. If I'm the Rams and I decide if Stafford retires and I decide to pursue Darnold, I'm not giving the Vikings compensation. If the Vikings, if he walks and I can sign him, but I'm sorry, after what we saw in those last 2 games, that franchise tag, I mean, he's still going to get paid, I think, but I think he's going to get, let's say, 30 to 35.
But on a multi-year deal
Yeah,
with
but
probably
not 40 million a
2
year.
years of guarantees, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just saying if you acquire him off the franchise tag, the starting point of the talks now is okay, the Vikings you acquired a guy who is going to make 40 million. So that's like your starting point for talks now. My starting point for talks with Sam would be 30 to 35 tops.
I feel like we're all going to be a little shocked. I know that the last 2 games have created this image of him going into free agency, and he's kind of reverted back to the bad Sam Darnold. But guys like Kirk Cousins off a torn Achilles, 36 years old, average annual value was $45 million, and Darnold is like 9 years younger. It's kind of crazy, the contract. Daniel Jones 2 years ago got $40 million off 1 year of proof.
Right.
1 year of proof.
Right. No, you're right. But that was, yes. I think you're right, though. I think the Raiders and Steelers. So here's the question. If you are the Vikings, if you're going to pit those 2 teams in trade talks, which means that you're going to put the franchise tag on Darnold, he is going to become then worth a starting point of $40 million per season. I think you can get the Raiders to panic. Like, oh my God, we got to get a guy. Can you get?
And we have the money to.
Yeah. Can you get the Steelers to buy in so that, to your point, Phil, it creates a 2-team bidding war, and now you can play them off. Like the Steelers are a pretty savvy, smart team. I think the Raiders are really prone to probably panic.
I agree, and their draft position is prone to panic because my gosh, we're not going to get, and we're not going to get Cam Ward and Shadeur, and even if we thought we could, we're not going to know until the end of April, and we have to make this decision on Darnold now.
Yep.
Let's just do it. We got enough money, and they could give Darnold 3 years, $120 million, guarantee the majority of 2 of them, and still have a boatload of money if they wanted to go get another free agent or 2. And but then on the Steelers side, they're in a weird spot too. Like the panic and desperation from them is less about the Raiders is we've been incompetent. We can't find a quarterback to save our lives. We've got this. We're in a new city the last few years, this bustling city. Like we have to have something tangible, like with some excitement. It's very competitive for your entertainment dollar there, right? Mm-hmm. And so like let's go get a quarterback that hopefully can be better than Aiden O'Connell or whoever. But on the Steelers side, there's a lot of there's buzz in Pittsburgh about Mike Tomlin being on the hot seat and the trade rumors and stuff. They've been looking for a solution since Ben Roethlisberger, but they've whiffed on Kenny Pickett in the draft. They brought Justin Fields in to try and sort of reclaim his career, and they benched him after 4 or 5 games. Do the Steelers have the stomach to go back to the draft as their solution? And if they do, what are they going to do? Are they going to draft like Jalen Milroe as a project late in the first round? A 27-year-old former number 3 overall pick that righted his career coming in, who can throw the ball down the field and hit George Pickens.
Yeah.
And if you're like the Steelers, they don't have the luxury. They have, because they're so obsessed with we have to be a better than 500 team. Mm-hmm. Can they really go in with like a late first round rookie or like a second round rookie again? They almost have to have someone more established.
Can you get
Kirk Cousins could be an interesting.
Well, that's what I was going to say. If you give me the financial parameters with which we're going to play, and again, I think Kirk is going to, as Kirk does, he's going to get the bag. He's going to force his way out of the Falcons. He's going to hit the street, and he's going to be dirt cheap because he got the bag from the Falcons. I would rather have Cousins because then the marriage, much shorter. If it doesn't work, it's fine. Like the thing that scares you about Sam is, okay, this was a great year. He's 27. Is this really him? Like, are those 16 games him? And this is where the multi-year contract scares me more. And I don't know the Steelers. I feel like the Raiders are fairly still just pretty dumb. So I think the Raiders would make. And
Tom
I don't.
Brady's there now. Tom
Yeah,
Brady
but
is there.
I don't
now.
think he's going to be. I think there's a good chance he's not that good at this. And plus, he's trying to work 2 jobs. And just because you were a great player certainly does not mean that you're going to be a great executive, especially when you're trying to work a TV job as well. So I think the Raiders might make a dumb move. I don't know that the Steelers would be as prone to. And if the Steelers said, okay, our 2 options are Darnold or Cousins, if I'm the Steelers, I'm doing Kirk.
Real quick, is it on the Kirk front? Just I'll kind of flip on the other side of the fence on this one. The more I think about it, if you just got done with the 1-year veteran Russell Wilson thing and it didn't work, and you weren't able to make a run, do you want to do that again? And now you're just kicking the can. You need to find a solution for that. You need to find like a mid to long term solution.
Darnold still scares me though. That's
my next question is. We're sitting here, especially you, but we're sitting here saying that it would be a mistake to sign Sam Darnold to, let's call it like a modified Baker Mayfield deal, where he may be, because of the inflation of the salary cap,
right,
you're getting closer to $40 million a year, but you're nowhere near like Dak making 60, this wave of Jared Goff, you're making 55, Tua's making 55, Jordan Love. You're like, Baker is awesome. He's not top 5, but he's like the 10th best quarterback in the league who can throw the ball down the field, making way less money so you can still build some of your roster. Are we too quick to say that would be a mistake? Like, would it really be a mistake if you're the Steelers and you got, all right, he's not free, but he's not $60 million or $55 million, and he's 27, not 36, like washed up Russell Wilson.
From a standpoint of off the street, it might not be. I would still have some hesitation about it, but it might not be. But we're talking about, can the Vikings franchise him and trade him? And I don't know what I'm going to give you at that point, though. Like, do you want a 5th round pick?
Would you rather have a 5th round pick this year or like a 3rd round pick in 2026 is one of the discussions there.
I'd rather have the 3rd round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the problem is I think we can all agree on this. Those last 2 games dragged his value as far as that conversation goes way down.
Are we too quick to rule out the Titans?
I think they're going to take a quarterback first, aren't they?
They could. They could still do that. They could still draft a quarterback and bridge it with Sam Darnold. They have $44 million in cap space for this year. In 2026, they have $110 million in cap space. So like they are kind of in that. Should we not? So
you could trade back, get a war chest of picks, build out your team, and give Sam Darnold $38 million. Also, like to Dex's point, let's explore this space for a second. Every year we latch on, the football universe latches on to the top name or 2. In last year's case, there was like 6 names in the first round, but we latch on to those guys as if they are bona fide, absolute, like Will Levis, speaking of the Titans, Exhibit A. Well, here are the best quarterbacks in the draft class. Therefore, they are franchise quarterbacks. Are they? Like, what if you're the Titans? You're sitting there saying, "Damn, it would have been nice to have the number 1 pick a year ago and not been glued to Will Levis. Could have had Jaden Daniels." What if internally you're sitting there thinking, "We like these guys, although Shedeur doesn't even really want to play for us, and I don't know, Cam Ward, I think he's okay, but we could get like 5 picks by moving back to 9 or something, and bring in Sam Darnold." And I don't think it's going to happen, but
I was going to say that's a tough sell.
It is interesting.
Though. Like if it's Darnold, that's a tough sell.
Brand new
hey,
GM.
We got a new GM, and he just traded back. And I mean, I can see.
But you're building out a roster. Like if you don't
it
believe
makes some sense. But if I'm going to do that, I'm probably gonna sign a short-term QB to explore my options. When, as Deck says, your salary cap room goes crazy in 2026, right, Declan?
Mm-hmm. Huge, 110
Yeah,
million.
I just have a real problem committing to a guy who had a really good season, was a failure previously, and I think was probably propped up a lot by the staff.
Yeah,
that's my fear.
There is another team that shows up on a couple of the odds reports. They're not top 3, but they're right there kind of with the Colts, even the Jets, 7-1. The Seattle Seahawks. Good competitive team, a bunch of weapons, like 2 awesome high-end wide receivers and then a third veteran receiver, a couple of running backs. And Geno Smith, who's 35 years old this upcoming season, has 1 year left on his deal, but it's like one of those Kirk Cousins final years of the deal where the cap hit is $45 million, and you can actually save $31 million to the cap by cutting Geno Smith. Or you'd have to work, because there's no way he plays on a $44 million cap hit for 1 year. So you either have to extend him or cut him and save $30 million. If you're the Seahawks, would you rather just go get Sam Darnold? Because you also aren't drafting high enough to get one of these quarterbacks. Would you rather go get 8 years younger at that position and a guy that can also throw the ball down the field? That's a team to watch, I would say, depending on what happens with Geno Smith.
Interesting, yeah.
I don't know that helps the Vikings in a trade discussion or not.
Right. That's my problem is if we're trying to frame this through a Vikings trade discussion of franchising Sam and trading him, I guess I am fearful that the ship has sailed on, like, you can get a second round pick. But that does not mean that Sam won't be signed. I mean, the Seattle thing does make a lot of sense if they just sign him, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, in terms of what sort of draft pick capital these teams have, the Raiders have a ton of draft capital. They've got first, second. I agree with you. I think the first and second round picks are just off the table at this point.
Yep.
If Darnold would have played lights out in one of those last 2 games, I think a second round pick is on the table.
Agreed.
But the Raiders have 2 third-round picks, a 4th, a 5th, and 3 sixth-round picks.
Juicy.
So they've got $100 million in cap space, and they got 10 draft picks. Hey, Raiders, come on, guys. Let's
Jeremy
make this
Fowler,
happen.
my buddy delivering. That's a great call then.
It's good speculation.
Reckless speculation.
Before we get to Mel Kiper's first mock draft of the mock draft season here, boys, let's talk about Minnesota Rusco for a second. Minnesota Rusco. I should do the jingle. No, maybe not. They've been Minnesota's hometown remodeler since 1955. Cody and Casey have you covered. Whether it's windows, doors, siding, bathroom, kitchens, decks, roofing, almost 70 years of experience. You can count on Minnesota Rusco to provide all your interior and exterior home improvement needs. If you're looking to make that remodel a reality, this is a great time to take advantage. The big 70th birthday sale going on right now. To celebrate 70 years, Minnesota Rusco is giving you 70% off all labor and no interest, no monthly payments until 2027 and a $70 gift card as well. In fact, I'm looking at some reviews on some recent remodels here through Minnesota Rusco. Tim H said, we were very satisfied with Minnesota Rusco's service and quality windows and doors they install for us. Very pleased with their installer. Very fast, very professional, and left our house and yard very clean and ready to put the house back together. MinnesotaRusco.com, serving Minnesotans since 1955. Well, not the website. Websites weren't around in 1955, since like the 90s. But MinnesotaRusco.com. Also, Federated Insurance, helping to power Purple Daily, keep it a daily show, even throughout the offseason. And if you're a business owner out there, Federated is like having a great offensive line, like a great new right guard for your business. So while you focus on growing your business and the day-to-day, they focus on safety, preventing claims, and risk management. Federated Insurance is all about helping you elevate your business through risk management, dating back to 1904. Based in Minnesota, they serve businesses in all 50 states. Find out more about the industries they specialize in at federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours.
I want a mock.
Boys, the godfather of mock has spoken here for the first time. Mel Kiper.
Does this officially start the draft season now?
Once he
comes
comes
down
walking
from
out of the
mountaintop?
curtain, yeah.
He unveils the draft, the tablet of draft picks.
He sets the tone, right? He definitely,
I feel like
because
he has
if
to.
you're wondering, like, oh, where do we think it's going to be quarterback? He sets the tone.
And
to start.
And like, all respect to Thorsky, the Jordan Reeds, right? But I feel like Mel now has been mothballed, and then he's they bring him out of the closet and they say, Mel, go to work. And that's really the start of the draft season.
They wind him up. Okay, and I have not gone through this yet, so I'm just going to go through this for the first time with you guys. You guys react however you want to here. Cam Ward, number 1 to the Titans. Mm-hmm. And then Travis Hunter goes to the Browns with the number 2 pick, allowing Shedeur Sanders to fall to the Giants and Brian Dable at 3.
I like that Giants pick, by the way.
And then Brian Dable gets fired after an underwhelming rookie season, and Deion Sanders becomes the new head coach of the New York Giants in 2026. He does not have that. That's my mock.
Absolutely.
Some meat and potatoes here. I'm just trying to see if there's any craziness. Okay. Be nice if that Boise State running back fell, and oh my, he does fall to 20. Ashton Jeanty falls from Boise State. Falls to the Broncos at 20. Let's put the Vikings on the clock here. With the 24th pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, according to the godfather of mocks, Mel Kiper, the Minnesota Vikings select, wake up the echoes, out of Notre Dame,
your guy,
national runner-up, cornerback Benjamin Morrison.
I want a mock.
And the write-up is the Vikings have big-time cornerback questions. All 3 starters, Gilmore, Griffin, and Byron Murphy, are free agents, along with backup Fabian Moreau. So even though the Vikings led the NFL in interceptions by quite a bit, they might have to restock their cornerback room in the draft. Morrison missed all but 6 games last year with a hip injury, but he's a top-tier cover man.
Boy,
he has.
I hate hip injuries.
Well, it's not chronic. It could be. Well, we'll dig on it. He has sound technique and has the ball skills to help keep Minnesota's interception total high. He had 9 picks and 21 pass breakups over his career at Notre Dame. Let's see here. Let's go check on this hip injury.
Yeah. I guess my question is this, too. If that's the case in April, has Byron Murphy walked in March? Because that's definitely going to influence my feeling about the cornerback spot.
He did have hip surgery.
Okay, I'm out. I don't know. No, a young man with a hip problem.
It wasn't like a hip replacement or anything.
No, I know, but he's probably got like a walker right now with tennis balls shuffling around his house.
I mean, Tua's hips were just fine after surgery, just he got a really bad concussions.
Yeah. I just don't like hip injuries. There are certain injuries about in sports that scare me. Hips scare me.
So you're out on. Are you guys in on the idea of? I know it's like they draft a cornerback every other year in the first round, but here we are again.
Well,
right? It's they need help at that position.
If Murphy walks, they do for sure. If he doesn't walk, I think it becomes a little more palatable not to take one.
Yeah,
but
and there's no mention of Mekhi Blackman here. Yeah, Mekhi Blackman's going to come back. He was slated to probably be a starting cornerback.
What are you doing, Mel?
I would say this, and I know not all mock drafts are created equal, but after the Vikings take a cornerback at pick 24, there's another corner going at 27. There's another corner going at 30. Like, if there's a run on quarterback, if there's a decent amount of cornerbacks available, then I trade back and I take that one at 27 and I accumulate a day 2 pick.
There's also some defensive tackles projected late in the first round too. A lot of positions of need for the Vikings.
What's our big board on positions of need? Like what's our 1, 2, 3?
For just Vikings positions of need?
Yeah, first round.
It's, in any order, it's defensive line, defensive tackle.
Agreed.
Cornerback.
Yep.
And I think running back.
And Jeanty does intrigue me. I'm not going to lie about that one.
Does he have the Iowa? I think he's got the Iowa running back slipping into the second round.
I think he slips in. I think Thor is on the cutting edge of the Caleb Johnson, right?
Yep.
I think he is on. I think Thor is on an island right now, but that does not mean that he's not right, because he's proven before he's right about stuff.
Yeah. Yep. So I mean, I'm trying to think of other. Well, it depends. Like safety actually might wind up if you wind up not signing Bynum and Harrison Smith retires
round,
all
though,
of a sudden.
Agreed. Unless it's a generational guy.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Guard for sure.
Yeah.
Center. I don't know if it's first round, but
I don't feel like you should have to take a center. Like, I think Bradbury proved that, like, if you take one in the 20s and it's sort of we got to have a center. I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I think I go defensive tackle because I just want to. I mean, those guys now, if they can rush the passer, they're worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
I go defensive tackle. I go cornerback. I have no problem with that thought. The running back one's interesting because ordinarily I would balk at that, but if it's a guy like Genty who's got this just skill set, and O'Connell can, and that's the thing too is it's going to be what year 4 of KO, but we're still adjusting to like what he should do or could do with offensive chess pieces that we probably haven't thought possible previously at times.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think if you're going to take a running back in the first round, ideally you, in the case of the Vikings this year, because you only have 4 total draft picks, assuming the 3rd round comp pick, you would, if you traded back to Declan's point to like from 24 to 29 or to 30, 31, pick up another day 2 pick or whatever the comp looks like, and then get your running back. Or maybe there's, I mean, according to Thor, there's a bunch of running backs.
Yep.
But I don't know if Ty Chandler, 5th round flyer guy, right? If there's a couple of dudes up there in the first round, I would not be opposed. But it'd be nice to get a 2nd round or a 3rd round pick in the process so that you could also draft a cornerback or.
Yes.
But there he is, the godfather of mock has spoken.
Welcome back, Mel.
Yep. All right, busy day on the Purple Daily feeds. If you're new or if you're just here looking for off-season speculation, we've got you covered every single day on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, Apple, and Spotify. If you haven't already, click the like button and the subscribe button on the Purple Daily YouTube channel, and we'll hit you with daily, sometimes multiple times a day content here. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. We'll see you on Thursday tomorrow.